After buying a countryside house near a sharp bend in the road, a family witnesses a car accident on their very first day. Soon another one occurs, and then another. After that, the husband becomes obsessed with saving the lives of car crash victims. The film opens with Josh moving into an isolated country house with his wife Rachel and their son Max. The family is thrilled with their new home, where the biggest challenge is falling asleep without the usual noise of the big city outside the window. In the evening, as he tries to put his son to bed, Josh looks for the boy's favorite plush toy, which was left in the car. After tucking in Max, Josh goes to the kitchen to join his wife. Their joy over the quiet new home gradually turns into fulfilling their marital duties, abruptly interrupted when a car wheel crashes through the window. Shocked and still without his pants, Josh peers through the shattered glass and sees a car that slammed into a tree on the front lawn. The incident leaves such a mark on him that even the next day at work, instead of focusing on a meeting, Josh is Googling news about the crash. His boss, Erickson, notices this and asks him to be more attentive. After work, Josh picks up his son from school and his wife from her job. On the way home, he shows Rachel the news on his phone, but she does not want to discuss the crash. However, when they get home and see that Max is playing near the tree where the unfortunate driver crashed, she gets worried and asks the boy to come inside. When she finds shards of glass in the grass from the incident, she asks her husband to clean them up. Josh rakes the remaining debris from the lawn and then starts mowing the grass. While doing so, he sees a car stop by the roadside. The relatives of the deceased driver have come to place a memorial cross and wreath. Josh tries to stay out of their way, but as soon as they leave, he walks over to the cross to find out the victim was an 18-year-old athlete named Kyle. Examining the site of the tragedy, Josh notices that the problem lies not only in the dangerously sharp turn, but also in the fact that the warning road sign is obscured by overgrown bushes. The next day at work, Josh is again Googling information about Kyle, neglecting his responsibilities. That evening, some friends from their old neighborhood come over to visit. Josh tells them about the accident. A group of drunk teenagers lost control of the car, and of all the passengers, only the driver, Kyle, died. Josh raises a toast to Kyle. His speech makes Rachel uncomfortable. She would prefer to put this traumatic event behind them as quickly as possible. After dinner, when the guests leave, she directly tells Josh that he got drunk and went overboard. But Josh genuinely doesn't see what the big deal is. The next morning, he goes out with a chainsaw to trim back the bushes that are blocking the road sign, hoping that doing so might help reduce the number of accidents. That evening, Josh sits on the porch with a beer, watching the cars pass by in the dark, just in case another one veers off the road. While walking around a weekend fair, Max asks his father to win him a stuffed toy at the High Striker, the game where you hit with a hammer. Josh genuinely tries his best, spending all the cash he has, but fails to win. When he apologizes to his son, the booth attendant, not wanting to disappoint the boy, gives Max the toy anyway as a reward for his dad's effort. Later that evening, while grilling barbecue in the backyard, Josh suddenly hears the sound of crashing and metal scraping. Realizing it's another car accident, he rushes toward the road. Telling his wife to call an ambulance, he finds two crashed vehicles at the bend, but a pickup truck quickly flees the scene, violating the law. Approaching the second car, Josh finds an injured elderly man. He reassures him that help is on the way and urges him not to lose consciousness. But the man dies right in front of his eyes. Before the police arrive, Josh takes the man's phone from the car, someone named Alicia. The man's daughter is trying to call. That night, after calming and putting their frightened son to bed, Rachel tells Josh that the house had been hard to sell precisely because of incidents like this. No one wants to live where strangers die on their front lawn. But what troubles Josh more is the thought that if he had known how to perform first aid, he might have saved that man before the ambulance came. At work, instead of focusing on his tasks, Josh connects the deceased man's phone to his computer to access stored files. After learning enough about the victim, he later attends the funeral, introducing himself to Alicia, the man's daughter, using a fake name and claiming to be a friend of her father's. After this, Josh signs up for a first aid course. Practicing CPR techniques on dummies, he later asks the instructor if he can borrow one to keep practicing at home, but the man refuses, saying he'll have to buy one himself. Back at the office, that's exactly what Josh does, comparing different models of CPR mannequins online looking to order one for himself. His lack of attention to work doesn't go unnoticed by Erickson, who once again reminds him to focus on his team. One evening, while giving Max a bath, Rachel notices bald spots on the back of his head. A brief conversation reveals that the boy has been pulling out his own hair in moments of anxiety before bed. In his closet, the parents even find small clumps of hair rolled up into little balls. Realizing that this behavior might be a stress reaction to the accidents, Rachel arranges a session with a family therapist. During the session, it becomes clear that she wants to move out of the house, but Josh is against it. He proposes spending more time with their son to help him feel safer. To that end, he offers to start working from home and even buy a second car so he can pick Max up from school. However, Josh's true motives are not only about caring for his son. Although he dutifully waits for him outside school, reads books with him, and prepares meals, in his spare time Josh practices in the bedroom with the CPR dummy, performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation and chest compressions. Nevertheless, Rachel believes that care alone is not enough for Max. She enrolls him in Taekwondo. Doing sports will help him release energy, strengthen both body and spirit, and ultimately build greater self-confidence. On the way back home, they are overtaken by an ambulance. Josh accelerates to follow it, which frightens Max, but the father ignores his son's fear. As they approach the house, they see a line of cars gathered in front of yet another accident. A car is burning right on their lawn. Telling his son to stay in the vehicle, Josh slows down and runs toward the house, hearing a woman scream that her husband is still inside the burning car. As he gets closer, Josh sees paramedics pulling a victim out of a second car and trying to resuscitate him. Since his intrusive curiosity is getting in the way, a police officer asks Josh to step back behind the tape. When Josh says that this is his house and his lawn, his words attract the attention of TV reporters. They want to interview him about what happened. In the middle of this, Josh suddenly remembers that he left Max in the car. When he runs back, he sees the door open. The boy is no longer inside. In a panic, he searches for him along with Rachel, who has just arrived. They soon find Max near the burned-out vehicle on the lawn, staring at the charred body inside. Disturbed by her husband's disregard for their son's safety, Rachel sends him to see a psychotherapist. During the session, Josh first checks if the therapist is going to judge him. Then he admits that, in a way, he blames his wife for the death of the man who burned in the crash. If she had not enrolled their son in that sports class, Josh would not have had to drive him. He would have been home at the time of the accident and could have saved the stranger. The thought that the victim might have died regardless never crosses his mind. Although he remains obsessed with the dangerous bend near their house, the couple ultimately decides to put the home up for sale. That evening, Rachel asks Josh to sleep in Max's bed. The boy had fallen asleep in hers. The next morning, Josh heads to work, where he finds out that Erickson, despite their long-standing friendship, has already signed his termination notice. Preoccupied with his personal issues, Josh missed an important client, failed to respond to messages, and had generally been skipping work. Slightly feigning disappointment, he returns home. After all, he hated that job. While playing with his son, Josh notices that Max has recreated the recent accident and fire scene near their house using his toys. However, he chooses not to tell Rachel about it, just like he keeps quiet about losing his job. Taking out the trash, Josh places the bin further out onto the road, perhaps to make drivers slow down, or maybe to provoke another crash. In the morning, Josh pretends to head off to work, but instead, after seeing off his wife and son, he stays home to practice CPR on his mannequin and watches the road all day, waiting for another accident where his skills might be needed. He also spends time watching YouTube videos of traffic accidents, which is rather strange. When a young couple pulls up to the house, interested in buying it, Josh goes out to meet them. Afterward, Josh attends a family therapy session. The therapist says that Max does not suffer from post-traumatic stress caused by the car accidents he witnessed. Otherwise, it would have shown in his behavior. Once again, Josh does not mention that his son recreated the accident scene with his toys. During the session, Rachel gets a call from the realtor. She finds out that Josh told the potential buyers about the frequent crashes near the house, which scared them off. She suspects that he does not want to sell the house at all, and considering the fact that he hid his firing, which she found out about anyway, the situation no longer seems normal. Deciding that Josh is not in a healthy state of mind, Rachel wants to leave him and take their son with her. While packing, she finds the CPR mannequin in the closet, which only strengthens her decision. Josh realizes that, due to everything that happened, his wife will likely limit his visitation with Max. He goes to see a lawyer who advises him to sell the house first and move to the city closer to Max. This could reflect positively in court. Josh puts the house back on the market. During one of his weekends with Max, he promises his son that he will move nearby soon, and everything will be just like before. However, at the house, he takes a sledgehammer and knocks down a wall so that he can watch the road bend directly from the kitchen window. But when he gets a call from potential buyers while at the store, he abandons his shopping cart and rushes home to show them the house. This time, knowing his relationship with his son is on the line, Josh says nothing about the accidents. After agreeing on the sale, he packs his belongings for the upcoming movie. That evening, he calls his son via video to share the good news. Rachel remains skeptical, though she does not show outright hostility. Then, after sitting by the window and drinking some wine, Josh begins loading boxes into the truck. While doing so, he slips and suddenly realizes a simple truth: wet asphalt is slippery. Having confirmed it firsthand, he decides to wait for one final accident to offer help and, in a sense, resolve his strange inner need. To his great disappointment, drivers all suddenly seem cautious and disciplined, even slowing down before the bend, not just at it. Just in case, Josh prepares an emergency kit with tools and a first aid kit, then resumes his vigil at the window. When a street cleaning vehicle passes by, brushing water off the asphalt, Josh realizes it is time to act. First, he uses a hose to wet the road at the bend. Then, armed with a saw, he cuts down the road sign. Afterward, he waits in the empty house, but nothing happens. Cars continue to navigate the dangerous curve carefully. Yet, eventually, one vehicle loses control and crashes onto the roadside, flipping in the process. Not believing his luck, or more precisely, the misfortune that finally gave him purpose, Josh runs to help. Informing the woman inside that help is coming, he tries to break open the jammed door with an axe, but the tool snaps. At that moment, a school bus carrying a sports team pulls up. While the students record everything on their phones, Josh manages to break open the door and pull the victim out. By then, she has lost consciousness and has no pulse. With actions practiced countless times on his mannequin, Josh begins CPR. It seems useless. She is not breathing. Suddenly realizing what he has done just to satisfy his own ambition, Josh breaks down in tears. At that moment, the woman gasps back to life. Following his instructions, the students bring her jackets to keep her warm. Soon after, paramedics arrive on the scene. As they rush to assist the injured woman, Josh watches them with a satisfied smile under the glow of red emergency lights. He had done what he always dreamed of. That is where the film ends. Thank you for watching until the very end.